Talking about the number of comrades of yours
Oh
who
yeah,
committed suicide.
But when I was at number 9 station back in, I had somebody criticize me about the suicides.
About writing about them.
About writing about the suicides. I didn't mention names, and then about crying. My dad told me that crying is an emotion. It's not a male or female thing. If something's bothering you, cry.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. But you'd get a fire where you'd lose somebody, and you'd have one of the old chiefs, tough as nails, that'd say, "Suck it up, knock it off. You crying?" You know, this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Eh? So then you lock it up inside, and then you lock it up inside on top of that, and on top of that, and on top of that. When I was at number 9 station in Pretoria Avenue back in 1960, that was my worst winter on the job, from 60 into 61. I dealt with 17 deaths, mostly children. And when you'd pull up to a place at 3 o'clock in the morning, the women and children would be trying to find each other, and of course they'd get overcome and down they'd go.
Yeah.
But one gentleman I was working with at number 9 fire station, we had a fire in Ottawa East, and we did the best we could, and a child had hidden under the bed, and he blamed himself for it. And it certainly was not his fault. We're wreckers when we go into a place, eh?
Yeah.
Like people, you say you pull up to a fire at 3 o'clock in the morning, and somebody's smoking in bed. You go in, you do not take a mattress through the house because they can explode.
Yeah.
You fold it in half, you take out a window. So they hate you. You save granny or a child or something else, you're a hero.
Yeah.
You wreck somebody's house, because what we do like my third book is going to be called The Circle, when I'm working on. You go into a room, you do like a circle. You go along the wall. If there's something there a child could hide under, because they can hide in a space like this.
Yeah.
And then you go, if there's a closet, you reach down, you pull stuff out of the closet. If there's a window, you punch it out with your hand or your helmet. That's one of the things, that's about the only thing those helmets were good for, because if you touch the hydro wire, you're dead. But because they're metal. And then you go around and do the same thing. If there's a bed, you tip the bed over. If there's a Chesterfield, tip it over, because I've had children hide under a Chesterfield like that. Seems impossible, but the adrenaline in an adult or a child can make you do anything.
Yeah.
So anyways, we went, and this firefighter friend of mine, he went over the edge. Came back to the fire station, and he started talking funny, and the district chief, Tony McCarthy, God bless his soul. Tony, I took him to the civic hospital, and when he got to the civic hospital, he found a place to kill himself. He hung himself in a room.
In the hospital.
And there's lots of them, with their cars, in their garages, with carbon monoxide, with everything else. They don't like me talking about it, but I am talking about it. If they don't like it, they can kiss my butt.
Well, won't be necessary, Jimmy, because you write about other suicides, no names, of course, but you also write this, and I quote, "I cocked the shotgun and put the barrel in my mouth.
That's right.
I hurt so much.
Yeah.
The pain was so intense, I began to cry.
Yeah.
And with the flood of tears, I eased off the trigger pressure."
That's me,
And
22
then you
years
write,
old.
"To this day, I can close my eyes and still taste gunmetal." That was
Taste the gunmetal, yeah. And you know why I did it? As far as I'm concerned, I guess at that time I went over the edge. I was insane. But see, my heroes that I mentioned so much, my Second World War heroes, my Korean War heroes, and even today, this country doesn't want to do anything for the military. They won't even buy them a smoking room.
Right.
Some of these guys were addicted by the government by giving them 2 packs of export plain that I used to smoke years ago. I haven't had a cigarette since '73. But there was nothing for them when they came back from the Second World War, the Korean War. There was nothing for us.
Yeah.
It was just suck it up, suck it up. Now, am I angry? Yes, I'm angry. I'm angry because, when I think, I had one guy, one of my heroes, he killed himself in the fire station. He killed himself in the fire station, and years ago, he had went over the edge, and he ended up getting very, very sick. And he came into the fire station to visit us, and here's a guy that Tony McCarthy, Curly Monahan, Rolly Prue, Rolly Burgo, Armand Couture, all these guys, you could see your faces in their shoes. They're so proud of their uniform. I remember talking to Tony McCarthy and Ernie Spence one time. I said, they used to stand up having their coffee in the morning. I said, is this some kind of a military tradition that you stand up and drink your coffee? No, I don't want to break the crease in my pants.
That's right.
These are the guys I worked with, but they get just as dirty as anybody else if we got a fire. But like the people that I worked with, and this guy was the same way. He took a major stroke and heart attack, and he came in the fire station to visit, and he was basically crawling. And he came in, and we were going out. One of the services the fire department gives the city is block inspecting. We were going block inspecting at 1:30. He came in for lunch, and we were going to drive him home. And he said, no, my wife's picking me up. And what he did then is he went upstairs and into the bedroom and wrote himself a note with his opposite hand, I can't take it anymore, and he wanted to die in a fire station with his brother. Here's a guy that gave his country 5 years,
Right.
and then he gave his city lots of years. And I don't want to give any hints to who he is. I love the man, and I cried buckets that day.
Patty, I think for most people, if you ask them, tell me about somebody who does a job, who's a hero. And if any percentage of people didn't answer firefighters before 9/11 and the remainder was snapped up after 9/11, but I don't think, in fact, I know that most people don't have a sense of what kind of stress and what kind of trauma is involved.
It can be hell.
Now,
when I met Sean Connery, that's one of the things that impressed me so much about Sean Connery.
Yeah.
Is he asked me a question. He said, what did you think when you saw the firefighters going into the building at 9/11? Because he has properties in New York.
Yeah.
And I said, I knew they weren't coming out. And he got teary-eyed. And he said, me too. And his admiration, and that's why he invited me down to Nassau, because I'm a firefighter.
Right.
You know? And that was so nice. But you know the nicest thing he did? The nicest thing that Sean Connery did for me.
Apart from not saying no, and you asked him if he'd play you in a movie?
Oh yeah, no, he didn't say no. He didn't say yes, didn't say no.
Didn't say yes,
I asked
didn't
him
say
to play in my movie. It looks like I got Dan Aykroyd and Matthew Perry already. But anyways, I was talking to Peter Aykroyd, and he said, I will give my son your dossier captain. That's the respect that Peter Aykroyd has for the fire department. But the way, you're a married man.
Yeah.
The way somebody treats your wife is sometimes a lot more important than the way they treat you.
Absolutely.
Sean Connery turns around to Sharon and goes, and you're Sharon? And she said, yes. He says, I think of you all the time when I'm in New York. And Sharon said, why? For what you made me. Sharon said, what I made you? Yes. I go to the refrigerator in the morning and I take this off the refrigerator. It's worth 30 cents. It's a fridge magnet.
Sean Connery fridge magnet.
Sharon went into the internet and got a picture of him when he was knighted.
Yeah.
Put it on a piece of plastic, put a 10-cent magnet on the back of it, and he said, I go to the refrigerator in the morning. I take it off the refrigerator. My most important papers in the world are there. I take them out and I look at it and I say, wasn't that nice of that lady to take time out of a busy schedule to make this for me? That's the kind of class act he is. He's just an absolute class act. And he has a lot of respect for military, police, firefighters, and working people.
And you will find him photographed with Jimmy Allen right here on the back of Extreme Heat. But we'll get on to whether and when this is going to become a film. I just wonder, and I'm sure many people reading the book, which again is now available in bookstores, and that was a long journey. We'll get to that too.
It's available in Texas. I got a phone call from Texas, from Harry Moffat, one of my brother firefighters. He lives there in the wintertime. Yeah. He went into a Target store. He said, your book's in Texas. I said, you got to be. He said, you realize there's more people in Texas than there is all of Canada? I said, well, kiss a few butts for me, Harry, and do what you can. So that's what he's doing.
Just 2 years.